What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Fight Room. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down an Olympic Taekwondo match. This is my first segment of a series that I'm going to do on stylistic approaches for striking. I'm really looking at the do's and the don'ts, the pros and the cons when you are looking at these different styles, and ultimately how to take these different forms and add bits and pieces into your own game. I hope you enjoy. The first thing to notice when you're looking at Taekwondo practitioners are the stances that they're both partaking in. They're going to be very wide, they're going to be bladed, hands low, and let's dissect that for a little bit here. When you have a wide stance, feet come apart, separated, okay, very wide, it's going to give you a lot of power to drive through. And with this being said, all that power and that initial stance here is going to be very taxing on the body's energy system. So that's something that you want to pay attention to, because even though you could drive a lot of power through within your kicks coming from the stance, it does take a lot of endurance, a lot of good cardio work in order to sustain this stance. Also, when you're here, some really good things that can happen are straight down the center when you're attacking with side kicks. You can also turn from here significantly easier than having a straight on squared stance where you have to make an adjustment with your foot and then step through and turn. It's just way more fluid when your stance is bladed. Another thing, when your feet are wide apart and you're having this double bounce on the balls of your feet, it allows your feet to be very light, creating a significant amount of momentum within your strikes, within your kicks. And remember, whenever you're talking about Taekwondo, you're talking about an emphasis on the feet, on the leg strikes here. Now, the targets are the body and the head. The body points are going to be 1, and then if you add a spinning technique into it, I believe it's a total of 3 points. When you hit the head, it's going to be 3 points, but if you add in a spin to it, whatever that may be, it's going to be a total of 4 points. So it's important to note how the point system works, the scoring works, because if it lands clean, then it's going to count as one of the points up there. So getting back to the stance, so we went over power, we went over turning, and that bounce, that bouncing motion. One of the great things about, I'm going to fast forward this real quick. One of the great things about the bouncing motion within the feet is it gives you a lot of mobility, and it creates this athleticism that translates very well into going forward and to going back. So coming forward, coming back, and also feinting your shots coming in is another great tactic. Israel Adesanya is a really key component, a key figure to look at when you're talking about feinting and in that bladed karate Taekwondo stance here. So if you notice when they're going at it, there's going to be a lot of feinting in this stance as well, backing up, moving forward, slight angles where you're turning to the side and creating different lines of attack. So feinting is going to be a huge one in this stance here. Notice that they keep the hands low. One of the reasons why I like keeping the hands low is because I find that it gives my body a little more room to move in terms of going back to the side here. Another thing, when you're in this real wide stance, going back is very, very effortless. Now, with keeping your hands low, the problem is your head. So if your hands are low and you take a clean headshot, that's going to be devastating. Well, they have headgear on, so I don't know how devastating that would be. You obviously have knockouts in Taekwondo, but it does serve as some type of protection. I can't really say that because it actually makes your head bigger. The headgear, instead of this target, it makes it boom here. I think the only thing really for the headgear is cuts and preventing cauliflower ear. So I can't even say that damage is lesser. It's almost more if you consider the size of the head. That becomes bigger with the. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, very high emphasis placed on the kicking. You see really low strategy around punching. I mean, there's hardly any punching in Taekwondo. So that mid range, and when you're using hands, that boxing range, it almost seems non-existent. I mean, you see a few punches in this fighting system, but the majority is going to be kicks from the feet, and specifically kicks from the heel, striking with side kicks, with back kicks, with spinning heel kicks, with axe kicks, and you're also going to see a lot of kicks with the top of the foot. Let's kind of dissect that a little bit. The heel is a very strong portion of the body. If you consider how dense the heel is, it's relatively safe to hit with. If you hit with this part, spinning heel kick to the head, a back kick, a side kick, I mean, the heel is so durable, so strong. It could take a lot before it ever gets injured. Now, you contrast that with the top of the foot. Very, very brittle compared to the heel. I mean, the top of the feet tend to get broke in MMA fights when you have a bare foot hitting bare skull or bare face. Also, the hands are structurally not that strong compared to other parts of our body that are extremely strong, okay, in terms of your bone density and size. Now, they're wearing headgear and foot gear to protect, but again, if they were to hit something clean on the skull or on the face, there's a big possible chance that the foot could break depending on where you place it, because the target's going to be moving when you're going into kick, so it's not always going to be a clean, perfect face kick. It might hit the top of the head, which structurally we're very strong here. So that's just something to know about the pros and cons with kicking. Along with kicking and having a wide arsenal of kicking is the ability to cut these angles on all these different kicks on a target. Now, the reason why that's important is because since there's so much emphasis placed on the feet, they literally have to use their feet for everything. They have to use their feet in close range, in mid range, in long range, and they have all these different kicks for all those different ranges. Where you look at some martial arts and the main focus is the low kick or the push kick, and although that's great and that's like fundamentally sound to use those kicks, it's awesome to know like how to do all the other ones as well. Even though it might not be that high percentage, you just setting up a kick. Think about like Conor McGregor when he first started MMA. He would throw these like wild kicks and they would miss, but the opponent's like, oh man, like he knows how to do that kick. That kick's coming in from this angle, so maybe I should watch out for anything coming in at this angle. And he would throw these different kicks that people wouldn't really be used to, so it would be hard to kind of tell what's next. So even if they miss, it's a really good way to get your opponent to think about, okay, what could be coming next, or wow, if that land, that would be detrimental. Like an axe kick is pretty close. Crescent kick, right, when you're coming from this direction here, boom, hitting with the outside of your foot. These are all close range kicks. You're in very, very tight, and in order to do that, you have to have an insane amount of flexibility and to be that dynamic in your hips. It just goes to show how much work that these guys put in when it comes to that fluidity and that dedication to stretching and elongating the muscles to even be able to do that in the first place. Gonna fast forward it a little bit. So essentially right now they're going into the golden point. Whenever you match points. After 3 rounds, you're going to go into a golden point round where the first person who gets the point is going to take the match. So going right into that. Now just putting everything together, they're moving around, hands down, bouncing on the balls of their feet, using their kicks to set up different strikes. I'll rewind it because that was really fast. Moving here, hands down, staying evasive. And on a last note, evasion is one of the higher forms of defense. So typically in a system like MMA or boxing or kickboxing, you're usually going to learn a hierarchy of defense. So the first one's blocking, where you're absorbing strikes, right? You're absorbing the power of the strike. Next one, you're going to learn parrying, where you're redirecting strikes, however that looks. And then the last one is going to be evasion, where you're moving your head, you're moving your feet, you're getting out of the way, so the strike is completely missing its target. Usually one of the most difficult to learn, but something that these guys obviously practice a lot with their footwork speed and their timing and all of that. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to see anything in the future, please drop it in the comment section below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and a share. It really helps the channel grow. And until next time.